They said we never make it on our own, but we're hustling and grinding, so we're proving them all wrong. Every day we're coming closer than we ever could have known, and we don't listen to haters cause we live and die alone. They never understand the struggle that we've done. We've been in a tunnel of our brain for way too long. We gon' make it out together on our own. There's no stopping the inevitable once it has all grown.
Welcome back, fight fans, to another live stream. We're back after quite a while away, but that is mostly due to the lack of decent boxing, I guess, over the January period. It's obviously been a bit quiet. We'll be discussing some of the more recent events that have happened, as well as this weekend's events, and we will also be covering a couple of the fights that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. And obviously we are going to be doing a live scoring of Erik Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera 1, the first fight of their classic trilogy series. This is definitely possibly my favourite trilogy, I think, that I've recall seeing. There are a few others out there that are pretty decent, but I think this is actually my very favourite one. We're going to be covering it because it is coming up to 22 years since this encounter. It was the 19th of February in the year 2000. I can't believe it's been that long already. Where does that time go? So as usual, on the call with me I've got Kaiser Koba. It's good to have you back. It's good to be doing another live stream. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks for asking. Just happy to be covering this fight. Just simply said, it's one of the universally recognised greatest fights of all time, so it's going to be exciting to watch it again.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be quite a clash to the previous fights that we've been scoring. We've been obviously covering heavyweight action exclusively, I think, from all of our live streams so far, and this is the polar opposite of heavyweight boxing. It's all out action, it's a war, they're just trading leather. I think it's going to be really difficult to score. Are you still there?
Yep.
Perfect. Thought I'd lost you for a second. Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult to score. I think we might have quite a few rounds that we just see it slightly differently, but you know, it's equally as valid. But we'll see as we go along. So let's get started on a recap of recent weeks. As I said previously, it's been a quiet January month, pretty much, especially in the UK, where the British Boxing Board of Control decided to call a halt to all of boxing events in January. We've had a few other events stateside in the first month. Starting us off on, I think it was New Year's Day, I believe, was Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin, which eventually ended up in a stoppage. I can't remember the round. I think it might have been the 8th round. You might be able to correct me on that one, Kaiser. Did you see the match? What did you think? I guess it's a partially interesting match for the heavyweight landscape, although I guess both guys are a little bit below the elite level. Did you see the match? What did you think?
Yeah, I saw it. It was a kind of interesting crossroads fight, I think. So, kind of 7 rounds in, it seemed that Charles Martin had kind of looked the best he had in his career so far. Mm-hmm. He dropped Ortiz twice. Ortiz was looking kind of slower, ready for the taking. It seemed like it was supposed to kind of propel him kind of into the top 10 rankings, you know, to set up, you know, fights against maybe some of the top guys. And then Ortiz just changed the fight with just one massive left hand, and as soon as he landed it, you could see Martin was kind of just completely out on his feet, looking not even at Ortiz, just looking out of the ring, just completely gone.
Yeah.
So it keeps Ortiz in that kind of top 15 ranking. You know, the last thing to go is the power, so he still has that as an equalizer, but didn't look great, starting to really show that kind of age and the wear and tear now. So it's hard to kind of know where anyone goes. I think Ortiz will probably get another big fight somewhere, maybe as a stepping stone for someone, but I don't see him competing too much with the top 5, maybe the top 10 guys really at this stage.
Yeah, I think what you said there is spot on. He's definitely going to be like a stepping stone, isn't he, for the up and comers? And again, you don't think he's got too much time left, but he has earned himself another decent payday, you'd imagine. So fair play.
I could maybe see him fighting Parker in the future. Parker maybe back home, and then kind of keeps Parker in that kind of top 10 as well.
Yeah, fair enough. So moving on, we had maybe 2 weeks back or a week ago. 2 weeks, I'm not too sure. Mac Magsayo upset Russell Jr. This was quite a big upset, I'd say. Although, to be fair, during the fight week, I did see quite a lot of people on Twitter and on some of the podcasts that I listened to that were saying that Magsayo could cause a bit of upset. Did you manage to catch this fight, Kaiser? Give us your thoughts.
It was decently entertaining. I think Magsayo kind of really turned it on. Really came to fight. I thought Russell did well besides the injury. Obviously, he was still using that kind of speed that he's known for. He was very accurate. He was still, landing the shots. I think the inactivity and the age is also going to start to catch up with him. You can kind of see it. The overall performances that he's been given year by year kind of diminished.
Yeah.
But overall, he put in a good performance. I think Magsayo put in a good performance as well. I think Magsayo, there's unifications for him at kind of at featherweight, so there's lots of options for him. Russell Jr., I think maybe he could cash out against Leo Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz just coming off a decision against Keenan Carbajal the weekend, so they're two kind of PBC fighters. I'm sure they could get a match going maybe at the end of the year. That'll be a decent last payday for both of them if they want to retire.
Yeah, I didn't actually see that fight, and I didn't manage to catch up with it either since. But obviously, Russell Jr. is notable for being so inactive. I guess it's all kind of caught back up to him at this stage. I also read that once he got the injury during the fight, he actually was fighting better, one-handed. So, maybe that sparked him into life, and he's still obviously got the talent and a bit of the speed, but kind of interesting to see where he goes, and again, whether he increases his output in the ring. I think he'd fought maybe 5 times in 7 years or something like that, which, it became infamous by this stage. So anyway, let's keep moving on. This weekend we've had a couple of decent bouts moving into February. So to kick us off was Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams in the UK. It was in Wales, a raucous crowd. It sounded pretty good on the TV.
Yeah.
Eubank just pretty much showed his class, I guess, against Williams, who seemed possibly to be a bit too pumped up from the build-up, I guess. We've seen it before from Williams where, he gets a little bit too worked up, maybe loses control a bit, and he was put down quite a few times in the first couple of rounds, and quite a few times by just jabs. So I think he did well to see the fight out. I thought it was going to be over within 4 or 5 after that start.
Yeah.
But then Eubank Jr. kind of just took his foot off the gas a bit, started with his antics and showboating a bit, which I never like, but it is what it is. And then Williams was coming back into the fight, but obviously a huge discrepancy in points. He wasn't really going to win. So it was a unanimous decision. It was the right decision. It wasn't really that close. How did you see the fight? What did you think? What do you think about the futures for both fighters?
I enjoyed it enough watching it live. I think live I favoured Williams a lot more in those middle rounds. I thought he was coming on quite strong. I watched some of the closer rounds back this morning, and I think I gave the vast majority of them instead to Eubank Jr. I think Eubank, for the most part, looked quite solid defensively. His hands were fast, his feet were fast. He boxed more of his own fight. The pace slowed down, but he didn't look uncomfortable there. He was able to box with Williams. Obviously, Liam kind of focused more on the jab to like the head and the body, but Eubank was always looking for the counter right hand and whatnot. Yeah, it was a clear win for Eubank. Kind of retrospectively, I think he outboxed Williams the majority of the rounds and then scored the knockdowns on top as well. Chris Eubank, I mean, he seems to be kind of touted for some sort of title shot. It's hard to know how he'll cope there. He does have the chin, some speed. I think he will be able to give people some problems. I'm really not sure about Liam Williams now. That the chin early on did not look great. I know people said it was kind of the speed, the timing. Obviously, the jabs were crisp. They hit him right on the chin. They went straight down. But
yeah,
even Andrade as well had him kind of going early on. I think he wobbled him in the first minute of their fight and then dropped him in the second. They're not the hardest punchers, so it's hard to know. I think maybe there's some other fights, maybe European level, you can maybe take, or maybe drop them back to British level for a bit. It's really up to him.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still some fights out there, but I don't think every single time he steps up in class, he seems to come up short, doesn't he? So, still a decent professional boxer, UK level. I think there's still quite a few fights out there for him. Just depends if he's got the hunger to kind of step back down to that level and compete rather than in the bigger fights, the bigger venues, the bigger nights, and for lesser titles than what he's been fighting for the last few years. Anyway, we move on to overnight in the US. Keith Thurman returned to winning ways after a couple of years out of the ring since losing to Manny Pacquiao. He beat Mario Barrios, so it was a unanimous decision. He looked pretty comfortable in there. I only caught a catch-up video this morning, and it was just on in the background, really. I wasn't paying all that much attention, but it was pretty clear that he seemed to be in control for a lot of the fight. So it's quite interesting that Thurman's bounced back. He's still one of the top names, I guess, in the welterweight division. Did you manage to catch any of this, and if not, then what do you think about Thurman going forward, his future?
Yeah, I didn't see the whole fight. I caught bits and pieces, and to be honest, I think everyone's kind of seen it the same way. There's no controversy. Keith Thurman obviously in control, won the majority of the rounds, and he beat up Barrios for a big part of it. You saw his kind of pictures of his face afterwards. He was quite swollen up. So, yeah, Thurman's back. Where does his future go? I'm not sure. Obviously, at welterweight, he's yet to face like a proper top 10, so it's hard to see how much he'll really have left. I mean, I'm not opposed to maybe seeing him fight the winner, fight one of the top 5 guys soon, like Ugas, Spence. I'm not unopposed to that. So it'll be good to see what he has left. But I'm not sure he will be able to pose that much challenge anymore. I think the years are kind of ticked on a bit, and he does have some power, but I think after the Pacquiao loss, I'm not sure how much he'll really be able to challenge the top guys at welterweight now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think some of the top guys are surpassed where Thurman was even a few years ago, before he became so inactive. He's still up there, isn't he, in the top 5, 6, I guess. And it's such a stats division, and there's a couple of guys in the weight classes below that could possibly jump up and face him. There's definitely options for him, more paydays, but like I say, I'm not too sure he'll be able to hold his own against them top guys, and there's quite a few young guys that are coming through, like Boots Ennis, and obviously we got Crawford and Spence. Yeah, that's the one. Sorry. Yeah, I think all those guys would beat him if they ever faced off. So that's the recap done. That is all that we've really had that's worth talking about in the last month or so. Now that there's more boxing action lined up and scheduled, it's going to be more interesting, I guess. We'll be doing more live streams a bit more often than we have been doing. So we will be talking about some of the upcoming fights in the next few weeks at the end of the stream, so stick around for that. What we can do now is we can move on to our actual interactive watch along. So Morales versus Barrera, 19 February 2000. It is an absolute classic fight. It's a classic trilogy. It's a classic rivalry. Both boxers were from different backgrounds, but both raised in Mexico. I believe Barrera was kind of a more middle class upbringing, whereas Morales had a hard upbringing, and they had a natural rivalry. Kaiser is our man of historical knowledge. Is there some background that you could share with us as we get set up to watch the fight?
I think you've more or less hit the nail on the head there. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the big rivalries are kind of rooted in some sort of kind of class conflict. So, yeah, you know, I think there was an old HBO kind of program, I think, before the third fight, and you could see Jim Lampley talking about the kind of rivalry and how it started, and talking about from Morales' perspective. You know, he sees Barrera as this kind of privileged guy. And you could just see the kind of disdain from there. And yeah, it just kind of boiled over. You know, punches at the weigh-in. You could tell there was something different about this one.
Yeah. I forgot about that, actually. It becomes the norm these days, all the mad hyping the fight beforehand. It's really not my thing. I don't like it at all. I prefer boxers just to do the talking in the ring. But yeah, back then it wasn't as big a deal, the whole build up. Obviously it was still there to drum up interest into the fight, and there were breakout fights in the weigh-ins and stuff. It seems a lot more contrived these days, and really for the social media hits. But yeah, you can just tell back then these two just had a dislike for each other, and they left it all in the ring, as we're about to see. I'm really looking forward to this one. I just need to let people know that might be watching along with us now, or that might be watching in future, how to get to this. So if you want to join our group for this stream and for future streams, you need to be a registered member at fightscore.com. You can do that at fight-score.com/register. Once you are registered, you will be able to see some navigation. In fact, I will put it up on my screen so that you can see. Once you're logged in, your screen will look like this, and at the bottom you've got some navigation. This is the same on mobile as well. If you're looking on a mobile, you will have a group section. If you can click into there, you'll be able to create groups, join an existing group with a certain access code, which is generated when a group is created, and you can create as many groups as you like and join as many groups as you like. Once you're into the group, you'll be able to see the other members of the group that are in there, and you'll be able to see their activity, their scoring activity. So I've just come into our current live stream group. This is the access code. So if people want to join the group that they're registered, they can go to the access code input and type in F4E6E8, and then you'll be able to access our group. You'll be able to see all our scoring histories. If you scored the fight as well, you'll be able to compare scorecards to other people. And you'll be seeing that as we go through this live stream as well. We will be looking at our side-by-side scorecards as we score this fight. So, I just need to hook up the screen so Kaiser can see what I'm doing. So I'll be able to get this started in a moment. just trying to find the right screen to share, and then we will be away at any moment now. There we go. So, Kaiser, are you still there, my friend?
Yep, I'm still here.
Still here. Good news. Good news. He's not left. Okay. I think we're all set to go. You should be able to see the video on our call, and you'll have the audio as well. People following along on the live stream, please feel free to join the group, watch along, score the fight as we're watching it. There should be links in the description of how to get to the group, how to get to the actual fight that we're scoring as well. There's a link in the description. So we will start the fight, and as usual, we will discuss what we're seeing. We'll score the rounds as we see fit, and we will compare during the breaks. So here we go, round one. I'm looking forward to this.
Fast start from Barrera as well.
It started off the better, I'd say. Barrera is pressing the fight, is moving forward, and they are not messing around. They are straight into it.
Barrera seems the more kind of succinct combination puncher right now. You know, it's the jab, right hand. Morales blocks that, but he comes immediately back with the left uppercut, and that scores flush. Yeah, Barrera was as far as I remember, a converted southpaw, as in he's a natural left-hander, stronger left hand, but he's orthodox, which is why his left jab, his left hook, and his left uppercut are so powerful.
Right.
Yeah, as you're kind of saying there, it's a really, really strong, good start from Barrera. He's kind of really taken the first minute. Morales hasn't really found much rhythm.
Yeah, he's landed the best shot so far for me. We're over halfway through the first round. Morales is having success as well, but in the overall scheme of things, I'd say that Barrera's leading currently.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're trading against the ropes there. I think Morales might have landed the better shots at that point. You see Barrera's trying to take centre of the ring and dictate where Morales is going, trying to back him up, but he's not giving up. He's not giving him anything. And I think we're going to get this throughout the whole fight.
Yeah, it's almost hard to do commentary for this, because as soon as you start saying something, they've already landed an exchange, and then you're on to the next thing already.
Yeah.
There's been about 10-15 really solid body shots landed in this period. It's just almost impossible to keep up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for us.
Yeah.
This is what we signed up for. I noticed that I think the commentators were touching on it, that Morales might have a bit of a cut on his nose at this point already.
There's a nice right hand to the body.
And there's the there's the needle. Fun first round. So
that was much closer than I remember it, because Morales really finds his range in like the second half of the round and basically starts to slug with Barrera. He's able to basically land body shots and get in his own left hook.
Yep.
Oh, honestly, I'm struggling to pick a winner here.
I'm gonna go with what I'd said after the first half. I think Morales did have a bit more success in that second half of the fight in the last minute, but I think Barrera still kind of maintained what he was doing in the first first half of that round as well. So I just edge it to Barrera. Reason, Jesus.
I'm going to go more active because, as you were kind of saying, he was slugging out with Morales, but he was still more busy in like the first minute.
Yeah,
so that's
probably the edge. Yeah, that's a good shout.
I'm only going to go 55-45 though.
Yeah,
because I mean,
I'm gonna have to join you with that one.
an insane amount of action though. I mean, it's head and body though. I mean, they're just punching anything and everything.
So slightly slower start. I guess they can't keep that same pace for the whole fight. So they might give us a bit of breathing room, but not much.
You can see how like technically good the fighters are as well. You know, they're fighting the posturing. You know, Barrera is just those succinct combinations, head body, quickly exit themselves.
Oh, that's a great free shot combo there.
Yeah.
Couple of uppercuts. Morales just kind of looked a little bit off at that point. Lost a bit of balance, but he's coming back. He's trying to do something, but none of them are landing too clean.
I think it's such a war, but I think you can even appreciate like defensively they're pretty good at parts. I mean, you know, a 5-shot combination, the one shot gets through, but you know, one shot gets rolled, 3 shots get blocked.
I mean, it helps that they're both tough as hell. You know, they're both sluggers, they're both boxers, they both can take shots. Oh, that's a great combination. Body shots going in for Barrera. Oh, and a couple of clean ones to the head.
Oh, a big right hand. Oh, and then Morales just comes back with his own counter, and then he walks him into an uppercut. See, it's Morales' counter punching as well, and the Mexican school of boxing is probably one of the most proficient in terms of counter punching because they're so subtle at it. I think Marquez and Canelo nowadays, since like 2000, I know is, you know, two of the great counter punches as their art, but if you look at Barrera and Morales, and they were maybe not as good because they had different fighting styles, but they were effective at it.
Yeah.
I think this has been a slightly better run for Barrera. I think he's thrown and landed more. I think he's kind of been more efficient in his attacks.
Yeah.
Whereas Morales hasn't had. I mean, Morales has definitely landed some better shots as well, but I think it's Barrera, you know, getting it to the head and body.
Yeah. And that's what that reason. Oh, he landed 2 flush ones on the face there in the last 8 seconds. That reason on the options to select, they landed the cleaner, more effective shots, is pretty much for this fight essentially, where both fighters are, you know, throwing lever. They're both landing, they're both having success, but you know, one of them has to have pretty much been a slightly more effective than the other when there's been so many shots thrown and landed. So yeah, I think that was a round for Barrera for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go slightly wider. I'm going to say 60-40 for that one though.
Yeah, I would agree again. We'll try not to always agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's makes sense. Makes sense to me. I guess when you've got the first round as what to compare it to, then it is 60-40, but that could equally be a 55-40, 45 split as well, really.
What you were saying there about the chins as well is pretty important, because I think Barrera had been stopped once before this. Well, it wasn't a stoppage, but it was the disqualification to Junior Jones, but I think obviously his corner ran in, they were going to stop it because, you know, he was out on his feet, he was taking too many right hands, but I don't think Morales had ever been down before.
Yeah.
And he was on one of the longest undefeated runs at that time in 2000. I think it was like 30-0.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Like just unbelievably tough, and you see the shots Barrera's landing. Barrera has pound for pound, obviously one of the hardest left hands in the sport, and I mean, he took those left uppercuts and left hooks like they're absolutely nothing.
Yeah, just kind of bounced back, didn't he?
Yeah.
keep throwing. His legs always there, not wobbled.
Which is then confirmed by the Pacquiao fight in 2005, where incredible performance.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's some other fights we could possibly look to in the future. Some pretty close and decent fights with Pacquiao involved.
Morales has come back in the combinations now, just tucking them in just kind of behind the elbows to kill their ribs.
Yeah, I think Barrera seems to have. I mean, he's still throwing, but he's not throwing near as much as he has done the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think so. I think Morales is having a better one in the first half here.
Yeah, I mean, oh, that's a good body shot. There is a bit of a shift of Morales trying to get onto the front foot and take the centre of the ring. Barrera's pushed him back towards the ropes again here, but.
Yeah, Morales is trying to dig the shots inside. I think Barrera's kind of smothering them though.
Yeah.
So they're not really getting the full extension. But there you go.
I think
The body again. Oh, there's a beautiful spin around.
this is
That's some
just.
Lomachenko style footwork.
Yeah. But now it's just no messing, just throw. Let's just stand and trade. I think Morales has got the better of that exchange there. He's looking more bouncy and he's just got clocked again though.
Oh, there's a great. That is a perfect left hook there. And he just comes around and then scores with his own right hook around the guard. Right. Oh, you can't even keep up with the action.
Not at all. This is unbelievable. It's fantastic. Oh, what a great uppercut.
Yeah.
Just straight through the guard.
I think Barrera would have changed people's opinions as well. I know he was kind of reforming after those 2 Junior Jones losses, but people thinking there's no way he can absorb that many shots. I mean, he's taken 10 solid uppercuts and right hooks around the guard in that last kind of 40 seconds there, and he's not even buzzed.
Yeah.
But yeah, much better end for Morales there. Barrera, as you kind of said, holding his own, but I think Morales took that for me. I'm gonna say 60-40 rounds for me.
I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing.
We'll find out at the end of round 4.
Yeah, we'll do round 4. Yeah, after 4 rounds we'll do a break.
It does make you think though, for all people watching this live, this is just the end of round 3. So they wonder what if they really need their in store for all the true great fights.
Yeah. So some good stats there actually. Thank you. Oh, there's a bit of a push and a fall. No knockdown. I think Morales has started off, more active again. I actually didn't notice the scorecard that just popped up then, to be honest. I was watching the action.
I think Leatherman had it 29, 28.
28-2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 Barrera, I think. Not much landing clean here, more kind of defensively aware.
Mm-hmm. This is the first bit of boxing that Morales is doing now. He's teeing off the jab and trying to get the 1-2 in, and
yeah, he's letting his footwork dictate the pace here.
Yeah.
Just kind of hot shot from the outside
and then Barrera just steams forward.
Yep.
And now they go at it in the corner. Good body shots there by Barrera.
move on Barrera there.
So we've got a minute left. It's another tough one. I think I'm edging it to Morales, and I think it's just purely off output. He seems to be throwing more. Oh, it's a great body shot there, though. Good uppercuts in response.
Yeah, Barrera's really focused more on the body in this round.
Yeah.
Whenever he's had the chance, he's just gone straight to the body shots, just those kind of vicious hooks. Yep, textbook guard from Barrera there.
Yeah, I'm going to say a lot of them were blocked.
Oh, there's a right hand in there, I forgot.
See, this is really tough, because I think... Oh, it's a great ending. They both just threw to win that round then, didn't they, at the end? That's really, really tough.
Yeah, Morales, excuse me, was kind of making it a slow-paced fight in the first kind of half of the round, but Barrera just went inside in the second half. I mean, I thought he landed probably more effective shots in the second half of the round to the body. So that would be my edge. I think Barrera kind of stole it. That final kind of minute or so.
Yep, I thought I was going to go with Morales at that stage, but I think I've been swayed by Barrera in that last minute or so. He just seemed more, just more effective and efficient. I guess is the word, efficiency. So let's get the scores up. I've just paused the video because that's obviously 4 rounds in. Now let me try and find where our comparison cards are, and we'll have a look. So it looks like we excuse me. It looks like we both got the same scores. Aha. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see the screen or not. Let's just bring that across and up. Alright, cool. So, scorecard comparison. I've added a few more tweaks. I'm not sure if we've seen this since our last stream, but there is now a colour-coded system, I guess. Each round has a border, and if it is green, it means we've got the exact same scores, the exact same percentages, and the exact same reason. The blue one, I think, is the same score, the same percentage, but a different reason. And then there are a couple of other colours which we might see at some point in future. So, round one, as I just said, we both saw it exactly the same. We discussed it. Bone active was the reason that Barrera got the 10-9 score, and it was really close. Next round was a little bit wider for Barrera. He was more effective with his shots, landed the cleaner, more effective shots, and we slightly differed in round 3, but again we got the same winner for Morales. I decided to go with the effective counter punching just because, like I said, he looks like he started boxing a bit clever. Barrera was still winging him in, and then occasionally Morales would be able to counter him quite nicely. That made the difference for me. And you just went with landed the cleaner, more effective shots. We had the same percentages. I think the percentages are always going to be around this 60-40, 55-45 for this fight, aren't they? Because I'm pretty sure most rounds are equally as competitive as these 4. Yep, and in that last round we got the same again, exactly the same. So 10-9 Barrera, he landed the more effective shots. Like I said, I thought potentially Morales was going to edge that one for me after 2 minutes of the fight. So there we go. Let's continue. So then, round 5.
This is one of the great rounds.
Straight into it.
Yep.
Oh, it's a good. So a good start for Morales. He's thrown a few, landed a few. Again, it's kind of following the same pattern as the last 2 rounds, I think, where Barrera's being a bit more efficient with the shots he's throwing. Morales slightly busier. He just caught him with a good right there. And I can't even count how many shots they just threw there on the ropes.
Just insane combinations.
Barrera just seems to be timing Morales coming in perfectly a few times in this round. And then Morales just comes back with his own flurry of shots.
Yeah, it's just around the guard.
Yeah.
As soon as he pierces the guard, he just continues his attack. Just lethal him in. And 3 solid right hands. 4.
And again, he's
Just around the guard.
he carries on.
Yeah, Jim Watley just said it there. And he continues the attack. And yeah, there's honestly been about 10 solid shots. And that's probably, over 10 now, maybe 11.
Yeah, and you can see Barrera, he's feeling them. But he's just will to stay up and not.
Anyone else probably should have been down by now.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
an insane Jim.
And now he's just turned him and he comes back with his own assault. Unreal.
And then left hook. And I think as well that this is the first time in the fight that both guys have been stunned. I think Barrera's hurt, but I think the right hand left hook is what basically Morales feels there. Because he just just for a second, I think just a quick stun, just kind of, has that quick recovery, but
Yeah.
I think he feels that shot. Yeah. It's a good turnaround from Barrera, but it's such a strong Morales round. He's landed them by maybe 30 shots.
He just winged in a massive right hand then. Oh, Barrera's just doing a little dig on the break.
And there's a great left hook to end the round.
Brilliant.
See, it's a strange one because Barrera does so well in the round, yet it's almost impossible to ignore the fact that Morales outlanded him probably by about 20 shots.
Yeah.
I think Barrera was in trouble for longer, so it almost feels harsh, but in a way, it feels like it's. You watch it and it feels like it's 55-45. That makes sense, but if you're scoring it as a judge, it feels like it was probably more 60-40.
Yeah.
You could maybe even argue 65-35 because it almost is like 2/3 of the round is won by Morales and the 1/3 won by Barrera. It's strong because obviously he's landed good shots, but
Man,
very seldom is a better round than conducting a boxing ring.
Than that, yeah. Unreal. I mean, just the stamina on him just to throw that many shots as well as not going down and just having that will to keep going. It's incredible.
And Lederman gave it to Barrera there, which is just showing how Barrera can steal these rounds in the last kind of minute.
Yeah.
Barrera often lands the solid shots in the last 10 seconds as well.
Yeah.
Make sure he lands that good right hand to left hook or combination because it is the last thing the judges will see.
He's landed a nice shot there.
Yeah, that's a really nice right hand. And then back at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. You don't begrudge him slowing it down a little bit in this round.
Yeah. I think to a certain degree, Morales had to have emptied the tank quite a bit in that last round because he really did throw out 50, maybe 50 punches,
Yeah.
and how many of them were literally everything he had on him trying to take Barrera out there. And it's Barrera now kind of going back to left hook to the body, trying to wear Morales down more.
So we're into the second half of this round. What we're thinking? Oh, that's a nice attack.
Yeah. Barrera, I think Barrera's kind of shown that he can box Morales as much as Morales can kind of slug with him. Both are just as capable as the other, but when the pace slows down here, yeah, Barrera's thrown and landed more on those solo body shots, which aren't really appreciated as much as headshots, but they are scoring punches.
Yeah.
And he's done very well here, because it's all this working on breaking Morales down.
Yeah, it's
a nice counter jab there as well.
Like I said, I think at the slower pace, it's more suited for Barrera to use his boxing brain a bit more.
Yeah.
And then Morales is going forward. Last 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think he just fell short of the right hand there. Barrera came back, finished with left hook on the inside. Tried to time the uppercut there. I still think Barrera did enough in that round. I know Jim Lampley was saying there that he hadn't done much, but I think you gotta count those body shots.
Yeah.
I don't think Morales was busy enough. There wasn't miles of activity between them though. I'm still gonna say 55-45 for Barrera for me.
All right. Look at these upcoming fights. Interesting.
De La Hoya, Hamed, Mayweather, all in their probably in their primes as well.
Yeah.
As we're kind of Morales. I think some people might argue Barrera's their featherweight, but that's neither here nor there. But the 2000 kind of pound for pound, the world champions was something quite insane, really.
Yeah. Some top talent.
I mean, yeah, a lot of those guys would do damage to a lot of the world champions nowadays.
Okay, into the second half of the fight then. Just a 12 rounder this time.
Yeah, it opens with just a brilliant left uppercut there.
So last round, Lederman gave it to Morales.
Morales going back to work, head and body, try to trade a bit on the inside.
Yeah, the shot there that rocked his head back and the uppercut. Barrera's head back, that is.
Yeah, Morales did have a pretty tremendous uppercut.
He had them long arms, then he generates that.
He's really looking for the kind of antidote to that defense, though. It's Barrera making himself small and that looked better than it was, because Morales really picked him off a lot of those shots off on the ropes there. Yeah, you can see Morales is almost targeting just behind the gloves. Like he's landed about 2 of those right hooks.
Yeah,
it's just behind the gloves, right on the jaw. Obviously, it doesn't get the full power, but it is a scored shot.
Yeah, Barrera's looking a little bit ragged. He's just kind of shelling up, isn't he? Trying to walk forward a bit, and then Morales is just, like I say, he's winging him in around the guard.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this earlier, and you were saying about how tough Barrera is and how good his chin is, but I'm not sure if maybe Morales stunned him with one of those shots earlier on,
Mhm.
and that's why he's kind of tucked up so much.
Yeah. Respectful of the power, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got him a couple of good shots there.
Yeah, those uppercuts, especially the full-on right uppercuts there, that is unreal how Barrera's taking those and still walking forward though.
So last 30 seconds. I think this is a clear Morales round, probably possibly the clearest one so far.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
Just kind of backing off, having a bit of a rest. And again, they're both coming forward for this last 15 seconds or so. Oh, great exchange at the end.
Yeah.
Great exchange. I've never been a fan of that, where they try and steal the round by like flurrying for the last 10 seconds. I know it can be effective, but not for me.
Yeah, I would echo what you said there. I think you hit the nail on the head. That I think that's the first Morales round. It's the first round of the fight that's kind of clear in the sense that besides that last flurry, Barrera's kind of been outworked for the majority of it. It might be the first round that Morales kind of controlled in a sense because Barrera just didn't really. Land what he wanted to.
Yeah, I was thinking that he did seem the dictator in there. Then I've gone for landing the cleaner, more effective shots for that one, but equally controlled the action did cross my mind.
Yeah, I was on that same thing. I was thinking 50-50 which one I can pick here.
You just saw the replay then of the shot against the rope where he said it looked more effective than it was. He just like grazed the chin. I think it just looks more dramatic when he's leaning back on the ropes.
Yeah, it's almost like you see the right hand land there, but it's the follow-ups where he kind of does the Fury versus Tom Schwartz. You just kind of use the shoulders and you roll the punches there, just to kind of mitigate the damage. Not to compare Morales to Tyson Fury. We're not quite there yet.
No. So we're already nearly a minute into this round 8. Some good shots there by Barrera. He's coming forward a bit more intent now. He probably knows that he might have lost them last couple of rounds.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is round 8 is the kind of point where I think a lot of there's been a few definitive rounds in this fight. I think both of them have been won by Morales.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you know if everything else is close that you can't really let the fight slip away.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, first minute, some decent work by Barrera. Imagine these guys landing full punches as hard as they can after everything they've already been through. Oh, how is Morales taking that flush?
It's just like the perfect 1-2 combination, and
he's ready to just
tuck it and carry on.
Yep.
He's landed a few again there, Barrera.
Yep.
So going into this final minute, it's clear for me as a Barrera round. Obviously still time for it to change.
Yeah, it's almost like a repeat of the last round, but
reversed.
With the tights turning in favor of Barrera. Yeah,
I agree. Nice body work again.
Yeah, it's that long right hand to the body, and then Barrera going back to the hooks.
Oh, some nice shots going in at the end.
It really is almost a repeat in the last round where Barrera has won the majority of the round, but
Oh,
Morales
my word.
is coming back with
just landed a straight right flush right on the chin, and he, like last time, he just took it, stayed there. Morales, unreal. So that's the end of round 8. I will pause. And then I'll get my score in, and then we'll do a comparison. Let's have a look at the side by side, and I'll do a refresh. Round 4. Okay, round 5. Now then, we've got a few less colours now, which is good. So round 5, we both got the same winner by the looks of it. Yep, Morales 10-9. You picked 60-40. Sorry, no, I picked 60-40. I just had to go and check which card's which then. Yeah, I gave it 60-40 to Morales. You gave it 65-35. Yeah, there was that was the first most clear round we gave to Morales, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, we had round 7, which I think we suggested was a pretty clear Morales round. Round 6, this was the one I decided to sit on the fence a bit. I gave it a 10-10, which I don't know what your feelings are on 10-10. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think we don't have enough 10-10 rounds, and I thought that was as close a round as there could be. It wasn't quite as action-packed as these last couple of rounds, but there were, I think both men landed both about as equally as it could be, really. For me, it was a 10-10 round. What are your thoughts on 10-10s?
It's a strange one. Personally, I don't use them myself. I think I'm more of a kind of a boxing conservative in that sense. I know the majority of judges won't use it, so I tend to try and be a bit more official. I haven't put too much thought into it. It's not the end of the world. I think people use them, to be honest, especially in fights where, like this or some of the other kind of fights throughout the years where have been kind of big wars. Sometimes you just can't tell.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to use it as much as I can, but there are a lot of rounds where in fights that I'm watching where it's really hard to separate them, and it kind of feels like a lot of the judges, because they feel like they have to award a winner, and it always seems to end up going to the house fighter or whoever's the champion, and it just really grates on me, because like sometimes you can get a really close fight where there's a lot of very even rounds, and at the end of it they've all gone one way, and it just looks like not a close fight. I think more 10-10 rounds should be not deemed as inappropriate as they are, I guess. Anyway, moving on, round 7. You gave it quite wide there to Morales, 70-30. That's it was a clearer round. I gave it 60-40, but also to Morales. You suggested he did control the action, and I gave the landed cleaner shots, or the more effective shots. And then pretty much, as you said at the end of that round 8, it was the reverse of the previous round, and that's what we both did.
Yeah.
We've both got 50-50. If you have a look at the very bottom, the average split percentages is 50-50, which is quite interesting. Exactly 50-50 each. I've got 76-77 in favour of Barrera because of that even round. You've got 75-77 for Barrera. Going into the last 4. So let's carry on.
These guys must have been shattered and tired beyond belief.
Mhm.
Like, this fight must have hurt for absolutely weeks.
Definitely.
On occasion at close quarters, you'll see Barrera actually close his eyes as he does there as he throws a punch. Hasn't hurt his accuracy in this fight. He's still landing 50% of his shots.
That was an interesting observation. He closes
Yeah.
his eyes.
It was funny last night with Adam Smith after the knockdown was saying, and Liam Williams is blinking. I'm like, have you seen an interview with him, or have you ever seen Liam Williams? That's his thing.
Yeah,
Literally.
it's just a natural thing for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great combination for Barrera. Morales, like you say, continuously does it. It seems like he gets buzzed and his instinct is just, fuck it, throw back. just do something.
Regardless of what happens after this, obviously he wants to win the fight itself, but he is fighting better than
Oh,
people anticipated that he could. And fighting at the level of greatness he showed before his 2 losses to Junior Jones.
again, I think
This is the Barrera.
Barrera's got the better of them exchanges just now.
Yep.
Years to restore himself, and he has indeed. If he loses, it's only
Can't quite make out what the crowd are chanting there.
opponent of his entire career.
And you can hear the thuds of the
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just an unreal amount of action. Back to the uppercuts from Morales.
thudding in,
Hooks
yeah.
around the guard.
I mean, the 2 rounds have swung, haven't they? The minutes, the first 2 minutes. First
Yeah.
minute would seem to be Barrera piling it on. Morales has
Yeah.
got the better of this minute by the looks of it.
And then the hook again. And they
It's a
just
bit
slip
of
and
blood.
slide him.
Blood on the face of Barrera now.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's, Barrera kind of beat up Morales in the first minute. Morales beat Barrera up in the second minute, and it's up to the last minute here.
Yeah,
I think Morales is still continuing his
Ye-
strong stride, though, just hooking around the guard.
yeah.
Against man, putting everything out there. 110% of each of them involved.
Just dipped out of the way of that.
Yeah.
Swinging left.
And a big right from Barrera as well.
If we go to the 12th and the fight is still this, I doubt any
Oh, another right from Barrera.
Mm.
They start, and then Morales had the first 30 seconds of the last minute. It looks like Barrera might take the last 30
But
seconds.
yeah, how do you split them? Please, 10-10. Am I allowed a 10-10?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh.
I think that first time Morales, I think, was properly hurt as well.
That's it, isn't
And
it?
that is how you win the round.
Yep. Okay, so what I was saying before, don't like it, leave it to the last minute. I mean, they definitely didn't leave it to the last minute there, but just that little pile on at the end has probably swung it for him, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You can see
I think
Morales there in the corner, he looks knackered.
Yeah. I think that's the first time I'll ever have around 55-45, and the reasons the opponent in trouble, because he literally hit that left hook in the last 5 seconds, and you saw Morales just sag for a
Sag,
second,
yeah.
and immediately he had to kind of lean his back on the ropes just to make sure he was like upright, and then you kind of said what he does when he gets hurt or gets buzzed is just lean against the rope and then just try and trade back and get the guy off him.
Yeah.
That was, let's see if we can get the slow motion. That was a great turnaround for Barrera. Well, that was just unreal.
That was a great round overall, wasn't it? It was like a perfect boxing round of action,
Yeah.
back and forth. I think I've done my scores. Have I done my scores? There we go. Confirm. Okay, round 10 into, well, not the championship rounds just yet, but nearly.
And still throwing combinations. That's a good right.
Noticed as well, Morales always tends to throw coming out of clinches more effectively, doesn't he? He always, like, as they're backing out, he cuffs around the back of of the guard, and he always seems to land something.
Yeah.
Another fight against the great Mexican veteran, Erik Morales knocked out Daniel Zaragoza in the 11th round to win the title. But
So it was great body shot.
years old. Barrera is still a young man.
Yeah, Barrera's a
Even though in his 11th year,
proper head, body, head guy.
Mhm.
So just switches up the combination, always switching the attack. Barrera's also quite. It sounds strange, but the long range right hand, he's very good at timing it. You often see him turn away or duck just in time.
Yeah.
As Morales has that kind of medium range right hook around the guard and the right uppercut kind of on the inside. He doesn't really have. He's not able to get the full extension when he's throwing the jab and right hand because Barrera seems to time it.
Morales has landed a couple of real good clean shots in this round.
Oh, good uppercut there. And now they're just
Yep.
just standing there. Let's fight. Man, that's a difficult one. This one. We're into into the second half of the round.
I think we
Oh.
kind of touched on this.
Sorry, cut you off there. Go on.
I think we touched on this beforehand, but talking about fake beefs nowadays and real rivalries. Imagine hating someone you're willing to do all this.
Yeah, like you say.
Crazy.
Oh, jeez, it is almost like the pride is just
Yeah.
getting him through. Oh, landed a telling shot there, staggered him a bit. I'm not sure if he actually was fully hurt there, Morales, but more of it kind of got pushed at the same time as being punched, and he kind of went off balance. I mean, he's still throwing back.
Yeah. It was weird. I think the shot he felt, but he was also off balance at
Off
the same
balance
time.
at the same time, yeah.
I mean, you kind of said it. He was actually off balance. He was pushed off, but the shot landed, and I think he did feel it.
Yeah.
You can often tell because, like you said, he goes back to the ropes and then he wants to immediately land
Throw
the
back.
harder shot. Yeah. Oh, this has just been another insane round.
Yeah.
The second half of this fight is seemingly weird because when they're tired for a large part of it, they seem to just throw the hardest shots they can.
Yeah, it goes against all logic. Man, I'm struggling for this round. Really struggling. I was going to touch on Naz as well, because obviously Barrera was the first man to beat Naz.
Yeah.
I think he was the only man to beat Naz in the end, but
Yeah, first and only.
effectively retired him, didn't he? And this was prior to that, wasn't it? So, and I can't remember going into that fight who was the favourite. Maybe we just added British bias that Naz was going to go over there and knock him out, but that didn't
Yeah,
happen.
Hamed was, I think, at like a 3.5 to 1. No, I think Barrera was like a 3.5 to 1 underdog.
Yeah,
So it was fully expected that Hamed was obviously Barrera was stepping up the featherweight, and that Hamed was just going to knock him out because, I mean, Hamed was an orthodox. He often got put down. Didn't look great in his last few fights, but he had that equalizer. Because
Yeah.
I think the fight before Barrera was the fight against Augie Sanchez, who beat Mayweather in the amateurs, and he was a decent professional. And Augie Sanchez left him a stretcher. He hit him with a left hook that hard. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the power he was generating was insane, but Barrera was not to be beaten that night.
oh, that's a great shot.
Two right hands there, just one fault, and then Barrera comes back with his own. You just can't keep up with it. It is just unreal.
Harold Letterman gave the 10th round to Barrera. That's the first one where I would have disagreed.
It's interesting.
More body shots from Barrera as he continues ripping the left hook to the ribcage of Erik Terrible Morales. Morales' versatility is that he can move if he wants to and jab. Barrera's versatility is he's more willing to go to the body as well as the head.
This is not quite as clean this round, is it? It's a bit scrappier. Not as much
Yeah.
happening, not as much significant landing, but again, both going forward, both are throwing.
Yeah, when they do land it, it's tit for tat. Morales lands one, Barrera comes back.
think I'm edging to Morales in this one. He seems a bit more busier and a bit
Yeah.
more
I was going to say the exact same
meaningful.
thing, just for the first half of the round. Just Thornhill added that bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I was still mulling over the previous round, to be honest, at the start for the first 15,
Yeah.
20 seconds, because that last round was really difficult. I wonder if judges are ever in that position where they're like still mulling over at the previous round, being distracted.
Yeah, that's the thing about judges as well, is that they have so little time to think, because the referee will collect their scorecards as soon as the round ends,
Yeah,
and then obviously it gets handed over to the guy who tallies them, the scorecard keeper. Not his official title. Like, you must be sitting there
That'll
thinking,
do.
my god, like, they've just battered the absolute shit out of each other, and then the referee's like, come on, mate,
Come
hand
on,
over
yeah.
the scorecard. Was it 10-9? Who was it for? And you're thinking, oh, I'll just have to put something down.
yeah. Champion, who's the champion?
To be fair, we joke about that, but I think that's happened probably quite a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Someone will just go, oh, well, 50-50, champion gets benefit of the doubt. And then
Exactly.
Like that.
That's why I don't mind the even rounds sometimes, but there you go. Man, I think Barrera's last bit of action there might have just swung it. This is tricky. I almost feel like I'm being tested as well.
Yeah, I think you kind of said Barrera really pulled it out in the kind of last kind of closing seconds there as well. It's another close one though.
So
What
for
is
that,
it with?
go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's all right. You carry on.
I was gonna say it's Morales in that left eye that always swells. You know, the Maidana fight, it was closed at the end of round one.
Yeah.
Round 11, Marco Antonio Barrera put his superior accuracy to work again. Morales seemingly slowed by the cut right eye, landed only 20 of 60 punches. Barrera 33 of 53, including 31 of 45 power shots. 3 rounds to go now in what has been a truly great fight between...
You just say 3 rounds to go. I think he meant 3 minutes, did he?
Yeah.
And here we go. Leaving it in the ring.
And Barrera seems to have a bit more here, and I think this is the clearest Morales has been hurt though. And then it's Barrera lands those big left hooks, and then the legs go for a second, and immediately goes back to the body with the liver. And you're thinking, oh, there's nothing worse when you're hurt to the chin, and then someone will hit you with the liver
The
shot.
liver
and you're
shot as
thinking,
well.
That basically should effectively stop you.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I think it's the kind of fight where the winner of the 12th round is going to deserve to win the fight. We're closing the show. Hard right hand by Morales.
Morales comes back.
Yeah.
One more show of energy from Morales, who's up and bouncing again. Throughout the night, usually when Morales has stepped up to bounce and look to land his big right hand, Barrera has answered that with left hooks to the body.
Some good shots there from Morales. One into the head and body.
Yeah, just on the toes, kind of in and out.
Yeah, a bit of a chaotic start, but I think Morales is kind of looking a little bit more sprightly, a bit more. I mean, he's been walked down by Barrera, but he kind of looks like. Oh.
Neither man with a huge advantage through the first 2 minutes
Hmm.
of the 12th. What will the last minute bring?
Yeah.
Morales
Good
kind
luck.
of is fighting a little bit like he knows he's ahead on points, doesn't he? He wants to kind of stay out of the way of anything,
Yeah.
but maybe counter.
Yeah, maybe just kind of out on the outside, kind of pot shot.
Yeah.
Maybe win the round 10-9, or even lose it 10-9, and then
Oh,
that's
some good.
one of the biggest shots of the fight.
He sagged a bit as well there, Morales.
Yep.
Oh, and he's down. Touches down. I think a punch did land.
I didn't see the punch. The
he's ran forward though.
Morales knows he's got to do something dramatic right back, and he's only got 15 seconds to do it. 12, 11, 10,
Last 10 seconds. They're still absolutely throwing lever. Wow.
Yeah, it's just an incredible fight.
I mean, that's something that every boxing gym in any country in the world should have a video of. And as soon as they get new members who show a bit of promise, they need to show that fight to them, don't they?
Yeah, just unbelievable.
So I guess that was the definitive round, just purely for the knockdown. 10-8. I mean,
Which I think is a bit of a shame, really. 'Cause I think they show it on the replay, and I think it is more of a kind of like a push down. Like
Yeah.
Morales is kind of off balance. It's not
not
exactly
a fully
clean shot.
fledged.
Yeah, and if obviously that hadn't happened, I think the round would be a bit more up for grabs. I think Morales was hurt with the left hook, which is why I
Oh,
think
that's a great left.
I
hook.
think that exchange right there is why Barrera wins the round. He did have Morales in trouble.
Yeah.
I think the 10-8's a bit harsh. There's the left.
Yeah, you kind of feel a bit cruel to give him the 10-8 and that, but you know, it is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a glancing.
It's almost like he ducks into his waist.
Yeah, exactly
doesn't
what you
connect.
said. Yeah, he's kind of gone into him with his hip, hasn't he? And then he's.
I think Barrera's going to look for
Touchdown.
the headlock as well, to make sure he doesn't like punch him
Mhm.
after he misses the hook, but then literally he just loses his balance. And, yeah, not a great call from Mitch Halpern. Mike Tyson didn't have too many kind words to say about him in his performances as a referee.
Mhm.
You know,
1-1.
160, 111, 8-4 rounds for Barrera.
Okay, while we announcing the winners, I'm gonna put our scores on the screen. I was just thinking, you know, it looks so wide on the cards, and the fight was so close.
Yeah.
It seems harsh. Let's just listen to the scores, and then we'll have a look at ours.
For two fighters at 122 pounds that fought their hearts out here at the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas. We go to the scorecards and we have a split decision.
Split decision, wow.
Dwayne Ford scores the bout 114 to 113 for Barrera.
So he'd had a draw. It wasn't a 10-8.
Mhm.
114 to 113 for Morales. And Dalby Shirley scores the bout 115 to 112 for the unified champion by split decision. De Sonanotre, Tijuana, Mexico, Erik Terrible.
Yeah, wow. See Barrera there. Certainly not happy. And you can understand why. So that must have been controversial at the time. I don't recall, to be honest. Do you have any insight into the aftermath of this?
Yeah, it's still quite a controversial decision to this day. I think the vast majority have Barrera winning. It seems weird that it's almost like a fight that close is a lot of people would struggle to call a robbery, but I think Barrera takes the vast majority of the second half, and he's bound to win a few of the first rounds as well. So it does seem that he wins maybe at least 7 rounds. I'll have to go through my card again. But obviously there was a strange dichotomy where Barrera seemed to win the first fight. Morales got a decision. Then they had the rematch where Morales seemed to win the fight, and then Barrera got the decision. So they kind of inverted it. You know, it's almost like they had different robberies, if some people say. But A very entertaining fight. It was fun to rewatch, and
Yeah, definitely fun to rewatch, and like I said at the start, a bit different to heavyweight boxing, which is equally as entertaining and as fun, but it's just a different level, isn't it? You know, the sheer amount of volume of punches, just non-stop excitement, pretty much.
yeah,
And the fact that because they're not such big guys, they can throw that many and also take as many shots as well. Just makes for better viewing, in my opinion. So let's have a look at our scorecards from round 9 onwards. And again, we've got some variations of colours there, so I can explain them as we go on. We've both got the same score for round 9, so in favour of Antonio Barrera. Both the same percentages. I think I've done mine wrong. Looking at that, it should be 55 to Barrera, and I've accidentally put 55 to Morales, so that's a mistake on my part.
yeah.
So,
That's all right. I made a mistake myself.
so that's that one. Oh yeah, that's the one I chose that. You said had the opponent in trouble, so that was the one at the very end of the round, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So yeah, that I chose that as a significant punch combination rather than being in trouble. It's kind of the same thing. It was the differentiator for that round.
yeah. It's the big left at the end of the round that basically swings it in a close one.
Yeah, and again in the next round there was another punch that kind of stood out to me, and I think it was the one where I said that he caught him, but he a little more off balance, but it was still kind of a glancing blow that Morales felt. So I decided to use that because I think the round was so close. Other than that, that was the standout bit for me. We had the same percentages. You chose the landed the clearer and more effective shots for Barrera. I've also just noticed on this that Antonio Barrera's both his names are on this, whereas it's just Morales for some reason. So I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Round 11 then, 10-9 to Barrera. We both got that. We both had the same percentage. Ultra razor thin, close rounds. We knew this going in. I chose it was a bit more active in that one. I think that was the round where a little bit less was going on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think he nicked it at the end, didn't he, Barrera? And obviously then the final round was the harsh knockdown. And I like the fact that you've given it so close on the percentages. And really, I should have done that. And I gave it 70-30 purely because it was a 10-8 round. So that's just how, in my mind, I feel like the percentage slider has to go.
Mm-hmm.
But it probably does make more sense to use it in the sheer closeness of the round rather than the knockdown wasn't really all that devastating or significant. So yeah, our totals were similar to what I think Lederman had it 116, 110, didn't he? We've got it almost the same, but I had the even round, so 111 to 117, and you had it 110 to 117. The percentages very similar, very close. Well, when it was most of them rounds were pretty much 45-55, weren't they? So ultra razor thin close rounds. It just seems really a wide scoreline, doesn't it? That when really the fight was so close and so even, and then the other guy won that was behind on both of our cards. So
Yeah.
This is boxing, I guess. But at least I did it 2 more times.
Yeah, to kind of give us that final closure. I think, in summation, I mean, it is one of the all-time great fights. Obviously, we're two very kind of distinct, different people in terms of our scorecards. Obviously, we've only scored a few fights together. But I think what is interesting is how similar we've had it. Very similar scoreline, very similar percentages. To almost kind of quantify it in a sense. I do think what's interesting is that obviously the Mario Sanchez remaster that we watched here, obviously it's very good. It's very clear.
Yep.
I think he made a comment as well where he said that when it's clearer, there it is. The more I watch this fight, especially in 60 FPS.
Let me just put it
scroll
onto
down
the
a
screen, sorry. There you go. Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
Is the top comment.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it says where you see what landed and what doesn't land much easier. I think a Barrera one isn't nearly as clear as all was mentioned. Obviously, that's his take. That's fair enough. But I actually think the Barrera one is clearer. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, opinions are opinions, but I think Barrera sweeps 5 of the last 6. I think. And then, I mean, the first half is also a war. All you have to do is give him, you know, those couple of rounds, and I think Burr takes the first 2 rounds as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the first 2 rounds as well. So
Yeah, I was just gonna go over to your scorecard actually in our group, just so people can see how it's done. So I can click on view card, so we can see yours just on its own, a little bit clearer, I guess.
So yeah, I think it's pretty unanimous that Burr took the first 2, and then if he took maybe 5 of the last 6, it seems that he probably took 7 rounds.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't think it was a great decision. I think especially the 8-4 from Morales card. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I think it was quite clear how we scored it, and to interpret it, I mean, there were close fight rounds, but at the same time, the way that we've edged it to one fighter was kind of clear enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, massively controversial. I'm not too sure if, like you said at the start, Morales had the longest undefeated streak as a champion at this point, and this maybe was the A side, and the whichever stable he was part of, or TV station or promoter, maybe there was some kind of protection going on, like we see continually to this day. You never know.
Yeah, I think so. What is interesting, I've looked at the round by round on the website, which obviously has kind of averages of all the scorecards submitted for the fight as data. What's really interesting is that there seems to be 4 clear Morales rounds, and then round 10 seems to be the kind of split, 50% of users favouring either. So it does seem the average user of the website, at best, will maybe give Morales 5 rounds. So as we kind of said, it seems that Barrera, on average, wins at least 7 rounds. So,
yeah. Yeah, interesting.
The data kind of verifies our kind of claim that I think Barrera was probably hard done by.
Yeah. Well, like we said, at least, it got to go at it another 2 times, and I think we'll definitely be watching them. Whether we do that in our next streams and we will just continue this trilogy, or maybe we can save them for their specific anniversaries, we'll decide. We'll see what else is out there and available at certain times when we decide to do the next streams. But this is definitely a trilogy that we're going to watch all 3 fights, no doubt. So, I think then that brings us on to, we're going to get finished up very shortly. We might as well just have a bit of a quick discussion on some of the upcoming boxing over the next couple of weeks, and a bit of recent news as well that I wanted to touch on was the Fury versus White that's seemingly being made. We had some huge purse bids going in that Frank Warren beat Matchroom on, which probably took at least Eddie Hearn by surprise, but probably a lot of people by surprise. Some crazy numbers going on, and I know a lot of people on Twitter and social media seem to get entrenched in the money side of boxing, which I don't know why they care so much. What are your thoughts on the fight? Is it something that you're interested in? Who do you think wins? Obviously, White's been waiting a long time for his shot at the WBC title. Give us your thoughts, please.
I think I know some people don't like the idea of White having a shot at the title. I think he has beaten quite a lot of top 10s. Obviously, Hellenius, he's beaten Parker. I think he is a legitimate top 10 fighter, so I don't see any kind of opposition to why he can't have a shot. I think he's earned it, or he's deserving of it more than a lot of people. Personally, I don't see the match as competitive. I think Fury's kind of proved himself leagues above. I think, if he has this new kind of style he developed under kind of Sugar Hill, um, the kind of the way he controls the fights, the way he's applying the pressure and using his power. I think he'll be pretty dominant. I think he'll stop White.
Yeah.
I think it'll be jabs, right hands, in and out. Leaning on him, I don't think White will have any answers. I think honestly it could be round 6 or 7. I think White will probably just get stopped.
Yeah, I see it very similar, to be honest. And I'm not sure if we've discussed White before on our streams. I can't recall it, but I don't want to sound too harsh on White, but I just don't see him being anything really more than having a bit of a puncher's chance. It's a heavyweight division and it can happen, but at the same time, he doesn't have that same power that Wilder had, and Fury can seemingly deal with that even a few years on from the amazing rise from the ashes when he was put down hard in the first fight. I don't see it being competitive either, and I've put it out there on Twitter possibly about when we've got the likes of Fury versus Usyk for to unify the whole division, and even a potential AJ versus Fury fight and several other options. This I just don't think it's an actual good matchup. Their styles, I don't think they're going to gel too well. I think Fury will outbox White quite easily, and possibly does enough damage to gradually force a stoppage. To me, in terms of potential heavyweight fights that we could see, it's not really one that's near the top of my list. But like I said at the start, White has been waiting a long time for his shot at the WBC title, so you can't begrudge him for getting it. And yeah, Fury, I guess he just needs to defend it before he can kind of move on to the bigger fights. I think he's always going to have the fight versus AJ because it's obviously a huge stadium fight in the UK. But it'd be just great to unify the heavyweight division that we've been waiting for a long time now. So yeah, I guess we will talk a lot more about that in the coming months and during the build-up, and when it comes time to fight, we'll do a recap on that and make some predictions and whatnot. So just looking at the upcoming schedule, we've got a few things coming up in the next couple of weeks, and like I said at the start of the stream, we're hoping to do more of these live streams, so we don't need to cover too much into the future. But for the next couple of weeks, we've got a Daniel Jacobs versus John Ryder coming up on the 12th, which is next weekend, I believe. That's quite an interesting fight. How do you see that one going?
Yeah, as you kind of said, very interesting. I think Jacobs is all around the better fighter. I think he's not looked great in the past kind of few years. I know he had a kind of, I don't know what you call it, competitive decision against Rosado. And Ryder, obviously with the lockdowns, it's hard to kind of place him. I think Ryder, when was the last time he boxed? Was that Callum Smith, or was he boxed since then?
I believe, I'm just having a look now. He's fought twice since Callum Smith.
All right.
That was back in 2019. Mike Guy and Josef Djurko, which looks like a bit of a filler fight.
Some filler fight. I mean, he looked good against Callum Smith, and obviously this is my opinion. I think he won that fight. He got inside, and Callum Smith had no answers for the majority of the fight. And yeah, I think I had it 8-4 Ryder. I do actually think Ryder got robbed in that. in
Yeah,
that fight.
that is the consensus. I didn't see that fight. I think I was out that night and I didn't watch it back. But yeah, absolutely everybody says that there's no way that Smith won that fight, and obviously he went on to face Canelo, and Ryder kind of got hard done by. But at least this is quite a big fight. Danny Jacobs is a pretty big name. He's a good fighter. He's had a few losses. He got beat off Alvarez a few years ago. I've just got his record up. But he's had a couple of decent wins since. Yeah, I'm assuming that Danny Jacobs is probably going to be the betting favourite.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I think I will be tuning in for that. I do like John Ryder. As a guy, obviously he's a nice guy, but he's an educated fighter who's been on a lot of the British cards, and he's been hard done by numerous times. In the Callum Smith fight, I think a few years back he lost to Rocky Fielding. I think he beat Rocky Fielding in that fight as well. I think he lost to Jack Arnfield as well. Yeah, Jack Arnfield. I think he won. I think he won the Arnfield fight as well. So it's a bit of a shame, really.
So it's like potentially his last 3 losses. Yeah, he's had a shout of actually winning it.
Yeah. I mean, I do hope he wins. I think based on kind of where they are at, I think Jacobs might take a decision on that one.
Yeah, that's my initial thoughts. I was just trying to look at the ages actually. Doesn't say how old Danny Jacobs is on his record for some reason. I guess it might be because he's inactive. Maybe they're roughly the same age though. Yeah, it'll be an interesting fight, and it is in the UK, so it'll be a good time for us to watch it, at least. So let's move on. What else coming up is Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. Yes, big domestic UK clash. I think we briefly mentioned this on our last stream because it had been announced the month previously, and suddenly it's upon us. Was this originally scheduled for January, and then it's been put back a few weeks? Yeah. So that's coming up in a few weeks. I'm not interested in all the nonsense build up, to be honest. It's not my thing. Have you made a prediction on this? I can't remember what we might have said last time, to be honest. Who do you think wins?
I'm still not sure. I think what many people said is kind of a battle of the somewhat or fully shot fighters. We'll almost find out on the night. I thought Brook looked pretty decent against Crawford in the first 3 rounds. Obviously he was landing the counter jab, but even when Crawford turned southpaw, he was still, following the right hand, kind of the straight right hand down the pipe. So he still got that kind of angle timing, that angle understanding, but that when Crawford landed that shot, it was that kind of, the jab turning into the hook right on the jawline. It was a good shot, but he absolutely wiped Kell Brook out with that punch. Kell Brook was done. So you do worry about his punch resistance. Khan's always had that dodgy punch resistance, but he took that right hand off Crawford in the first round, and he still managed to kind of come through it a bit. I think it was the 6th round where Khan quit, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was a low blow, but it obviously wasn't. You could see him hit him in the thigh. Just didn't want it anymore.
It was round 6,
if Kell Brook has some punch resistance left and maybe he's not drained by the weight cut, I think he wins. If it was prime for prime, I always fancied Kell Brook because I think he had the timing and the power. I think it was just a right hand waiting to happen. At this rate, I had to sit on the fence. I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I agree actually, because like you say, it's all questions of ifs, isn't it? And where they're at. I agree. I think if they were fighting in their primes, maybe what we're saying 8, 9, even 10 years ago, I would have favoured Brook. But yeah, I think there's potential that Brook can be totally undone by Amir Khan's speed, and like say, if there's the punch resistance is lacking, Khan isn't a concussive puncher, but he digs it. He digs it in quite enough for I can't even get my
He
words
puts
out.
them together well.
He puts them together well, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of right now. I'm sitting on the fence, but I'm at that 51-49. I kind of feel like Khan's gonna have that kind of jab right hand early on. Maybe I think it might hurt Brook, and I think once he hurts Brook, it might be over. Then the referee will probably stop it quite quickly, just because he won't be able to stop the combinations. I'm just not favouring Brook's kind of chin right now. I think maybe he's a bit more past it.
Yeah, just as you was talking there, I've done a look at odds checker just to see what the actual bookmakers say. It's very tight. I think they got Brook slight favourite there. 10 to 13 best odds, 4 to 7, 8 to 13s, and then you can get Khan for 5 to 4, 11 to 8. Yeah, just razor tight, and then the draws. Oh Christ! Imagine if we get a draw. No,
That'll be the worst thing though. If it's just a quiet 12-round decision, not many punches thrown. I think
we
that
need
would be the icing on the cake of a fight that's 10 years too late.
yeah. We definitely need a definitive conclusion to it, don't we?
Yeah.
Do you think that the victor then gets a new lease of life, or do you think that they both retire regardless?
It's hard to say. I think if Brook wins, he'll retire. If Khan wins, he can still. I think this is a catch weight, 150 pounds, isn't it?
Possibly. I don't actually know, to be honest.
I think there was rumours of a catch weight. So if it is, I think Khan can still make 147. I presume he'll be if he knocks out Kell Brook, or sorry, if he beats Kell Brook, I think he'll move down to 147, and then he'll be probably fed to Conor Benn. So that'll be the matchup, you know.
Yeah, it's not a bad show actually. Yeah, I can imagine actually Khan kind of deluding himself, thinking, "Oh, actually, yeah, I've still got something."
Yeah.
But time will tell. We've just got to wait a couple more weeks. Was there anything else on that schedule worth discussing? I think that's probably it. We can
mention Taylor Catterall.
There's Taylor Catterall, yeah. Just in case we don't get back to a stream before then. It's the end of the month, so hopefully we will do. But a pretty interesting match. Go on, what were we saying there? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, just a few seconds really. I don't think there's too much to say. I mean, I watched Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall for quite a few years now. Followed Josh Taylor since he started Catterall, probably since he fucking beat Tom Stalker. So I mean, we're talking years now.
Yep.
I don't think Jack Catterall has anything to really trouble Josh Taylor. I think it's similar to what you're saying with Fury White. It'll be Josh Taylor in control till they eventually stops him kind of the mid rounds, I think.
Yeah. It's a weird one, Catterall, because he kind of he got slowly built up. I think he's one of them that didn't get thrust into the TV limelight, did he, early on? He's more kind of built up his resume, and he's got a couple of decent wins on there. Harry Davis, McKenna's a decent win, Tyrone Nurse a few years back.
Yeah.
Gethin. And they always, when they came out onto the TV, they bigged him up a bit. He's actually from Chorley, which isn't all that too far away from me. So I did keep an eye out on him. But he kind of slowed down in recent years, didn't he? To a crawl, waiting for his chance at a title. Because is he another one like White that's been ranked number one for a certain title for years now, and he's just been waiting his turn?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think you might be right, because I remember he was very highly ranked in the WBO for ages and ages and ages. But yeah, as you kind of said, there seems to be a bit of a standstill, but he is getting a shot now. I think it'd be good if you want to. I think Jack's obviously seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Obviously quite quiet. Seems to be a humble fighter.
Yeah, he's not got any. He's not really showy, is he? He's not mouthy. He's not one to make a fuss. He's not and start running his mouth off at press conferences and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've actually seen him, to be honest. And he could, he does things right. He's not anything too special. I think Josh Taylor will be too much for him. Like you said, though, it'll be a gradual. He'll wear him down and then probably get him out of there, I'd expect. I think Catterall might just be borderline getting towards world level and coming unstuck, whereas obviously Josh Taylor is one of the best fighters in the world, even pound for pound at this stage. And he's been in with the top guys and he's proven it. The likes of Ramirez, Prograis, Ivan Branchek. Would you see Catterall going into them fights and coming out winning all of them? Same with Ryan Martin and Postel even. I don't.
No, at the time Josh Taylor faced him, I don't think Catterall would have won any of those fights.
No.
I think. I'm trying to think if Branchik would have been the closest, but then again, I think because Josh Taylor's so strong and he has more power, he's able to kind of control Branchik more.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not sure Catterall. Yeah. I mean, Catterall he's not a top 10 fighter. His best win, he's a good fighter. I don't want to kind of sound too harsh, but I think his best win is probably O'Hara Davis.
Yeah.
Maybe Tyrone McKenna.
Yeah, I agree.
Josh Taylor beat O'Hara Davis in the 7th fight, and he won every round and stopped him.
Yeah.
And I think Jack Cutler won like an 8-4 decision, if I recall correctly. So, I think you kind of touched on this. It's a guy who's kind of European level fighting, a fighter who's ranked by Ring Magazine as one of the top 5 pound for pound, maybe number 6.
Yeah.
It's a massive jump, especially for someone who has not fought at world level before.
Exactly. It almost seems like too big a jump. It seems like Catterall really, in the last couple of years, should have been stepping up a couple of times, more to the European levels and higher. I think it should be fairly easy for Taylor to win that. And then, the world's his oyster at that stage. He's got loads of... He can move up. There's got people below him that might want to move up and he can face in some big money fights. There's a lot for Josh Taylor in the next few years. And Catterall can keep going as a very good domestic fighter, I'd imagine. So, I think that then brings us to the end of the stream. It's been fun watch along. I don't think we're going to see a better fight than that in any of our live streams that we watch. I mean, there's going to be a few that we'll watch that are very good, but you can't beat Morales versus Barrera, I don't think. They are two of my all-time favourite fighters. So, we've not got an actual schedule just yet. Maybe that'll come in future. People can keep an eye out on when streams are going to be happening on Twitter. I'll tweet about anything that we got scheduled. You can also subscribe and get notifications if you want to see more live streams in future. And also make sure that you're fully registered over at fight-score.com to get all of the features, such as the groups and creating any custom fights that you want to create. And there's loads more features for registered users. So I think that'll do us for this time. Thanks for joining us again, Kaiser, as usual. And then we'll see you again in the not too distant future. Alright, mate?
Alright.
Alright, thank you very much. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.